all here to learn. I learned a lot from Michael this morning, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Mahalo, mahalo. And we thank you all for taking the time out of your busy day on a Monday to care enough. You know, I've tried to work with Haseko the best I could, and I've never tried to stop anything. My point has always been best practices. That's the only reason why I'm here. A lot of this that you've heard, their own archaeologists never heard the stuff for the 300 something exhibits that I brought in. I was a school teacher, chairman of the religion department at Damien, taught 1,500 students. I know what it is to do research. I know what it is to make a lesson plan. I know what it is to teach. So part of this whole process is to teach what people don't know so they can do better. That's what coming out here was all about, and I thank you very much for participating in it. Mahalo very much, and to all of you guys for coming.
All of that before we even built the first house. Part of that was going through all of the archaeological information that they had, going to see what sites there were, working with Shifty and Oha and the other people in our MOA that says which things needed to be saved, which things were for data collection, which things were going to be kept in perpetuity. And going through that process, they identified 3 specific general areas on our property that were intended to be kept. And those are the preserves that we have today. And those are the ones that they have buffer zones around them. And the only improvement you'll find is access. They'll put in walking paths, they'll put in educational signage, they'll remove the non-natives and replace it with natives where appropriate. For the other things around here, like this land that we're on now, when we went through entitlements with the city, one of the things we were asked to do was give acreage along the beach to expand Oneula Beach Park. It's in a legal document. I have to report on it every year for the status. It's not something that we intend to renege on. When we talked to the Parks Department about when they would be ready to accept it, they asked if we could spend the money that we committed to do for park improvements on building them a new access road so that it will be in compliance with the master plan they worked with the community on about a decade ago. We are just abiding by what is there and what we were asked to do to fulfill our commitments to the community. If you look, there are 2 silt fences. That sort of shows you where the new road is supposed to go. It's not something that we're going to build and then turn around and say, okay guys, you can't have access to the park anymore. The access to the park today actually is on Haseko property. There is an easement to allow the public to get there. We have no intention of blocking it off, and for the people who continue to say that, they're just not telling you the truth, and I don't know why. That's what's happening over here. And yes, it is in a special management area. That was addressed by the city when they went for their permit for that master plan for the beach park, which included all of these lands. There was testimony down at City Council. Part of that was the community wanted to keep the parking lot that's closest to the ocean. The council at that time said no, they didn't want it there because they felt it was too close to the ocean. Our councilman of the district just got a resolution approved to reopen that master plan. Maybe that's something that they can revisit. It was something that the surfers felt very strongly about. But again, it's something the city worked with the community on, and we asked that they include this land because we knew it would one day become a part of the park. That's what's happening over here. For the plans that Mr. Lee keeps pointing to for Papipi, it hasn't been approved yet. We don't know what the final thing is going to be, and until we have the approvals, I cannot come out and say, this is what we're going to do, because it could change. Once I have approvals, then I'm happy to come out and say, this is what's going to occur. And yes, Mr. Lee did contest putting the ocean outlet for Papipi drainage to take care of the runoff from Papipi Road. That's primarily for that neighborhood, our neighbors. Okay, what he doesn't mention to you is with the heavy rains and no brown water on this side, that means there's no brown water coming out of the 7 existing drainage outfalls that you have along this shoreline for the existing neighborhood that's here. It doesn't have capacity to take on Papipi Road. That's why we agreed that we would do that to help the community. When that contested case occurred, we started looking for alternatives. That's why Stewart Engineering did their test pits, to see how quickly does the water get absorbed into the ground through the colon. Can it safely protect homes? Can it continue to deal with the drainage that's coming off of Papipi Road? The retention basin that's there now was temporary. It was always intended to be temporary. We told the community that we were willing to put that land up on a temporary basis so that they could get their drainage relief sooner, rather than waiting for the whole thing to be done. That's what we chose to do. We knew that it was going to be years before we got to that point. Why not use it in that way so we can continue to help community? And that is what we have done. But we also have continued to look for a way to make sure that they continue to have drainage, that their homes are not flooded out. And when it comes to caloric drainage, that is for the entire watershed, from the mountains to the sea. When we acquired the property from another developer, their plan for the marina was much larger than what we ended up excavating today. It was supposed to have an upper arm that went all the way surrounding an island of homes. It was intended to be similar to what you see in Hawaii Kai and Koko Marina today. But coming down through the heart of our property is the city's sewer outfall. It's a big pipe. And originally we were supposed to be able to put an inverted siphon so boats could sail over it to keep that upper arm of the marina. Well, the city decided as time went on that, hey, maybe that's not such a good idea. So no more inverted siphon meant no more upper arm of the marina. So it went from 120 acres to 70 acres. Okay? And then from 70 acres, we decided to downsize it again, now that we're actually doing the land planning around the marina, and figured that it would work out better if it was 54 acres. That is what's been excavated today. The drainage, because of that sewer outfall, cannot all come into the marina the way it was originally envisioned to be. It can't cross over that outfall. That's why the system is split. That's why everything that is east of the outfall stays all in the golf courses that are linked one after the other. When you look from the air, the Ewa Plains, Ewa Villages on down, it's golf course after golf course because that is for your flood control. Everything that's west of that outfall pipe still does go into the basin of what is now a former marina. We continue to deal with the drainage the way we committed to do. And we continue to work with the community. We come to neighborhood board, we do written updates, we mail it out, we pass it out, we email it when people ask. You ask me about transparency. I put it in writing how much more transparent you want to be. We have made commitments that are a legal document that I have to report on to show how we are complying. And no matter how much other people want to say that's not the case, we're in compliance with all of those things.
And I hope that there is a section in the Hawaii Revised Standard that you're not aware of. It's section 6D, number 10. What it does is it puts a cloture on anybody who's the property owner that has caves underneath. If there are burials, feather capes, ki'is, artifacts, the state under this law puts a kibosh on anybody revealing to anybody else in the general public under penalty of prosecution. Okay, my hope, because of in my case I brought in a vision I had that one of the reasons that I see in my vision, the reason why they changed it is they did break into my family cave system. They did remove iwi from it. I cannot prove it outside of my cultural practices of kahuna, but God help them if they're using this Hawaii Revised Statute 6D to keep it quiet, because it goes directly in conflict with Article 12, Section 7, as the keeper of the iwi kupuna in my cultural practice to protect my family burials. So we'll see in time what is true. If they're using a state law to cover something that happened, that is my cultural practice, and under oath I said in front of their attorney, I have no proof outside of what I saw in my akaku, what took place. That's my cultural practice, and that's what I'm here. There is not one shred of evidence to back this up at this time. At this time. Because I want to avoid any legal entanglements. That's why we're here. I've been giving them specific things of what to look for that they've asked for. That's why we're here. You heard Shireen's complaint that at that meeting it wasn't clear enough. That's why we're here, to articulate exactly what they need to know. They've been put on notice, okay? And all you community members are a witness to this notice. That's all we're saying, best practices. So I thank you.
Has everything that needed to be said?
Has been said. Mahalo keakua for the people that took the time and cared from all places and all walks of life. We thank you for being here to enlighten us